tutorial, this time for Halloween decor that you can put up during the month of October. I'm going to start off with tiny pumpkins. It's a great way to get rid of any scraps lying around that you might have. Fabric ones, obviously, not food scraps. Please don't put that in a pumpkin. Luckily, I had some orange satin, which really fits the mood, as well as some red polka dot print from a Minnie Mouse skirt I once made a very long time ago. So we're going to make a Minnie Mouse pumpkin. If there's anything better than Halloween, it's Disney-themed Halloween. I started by drafting the side patterns for the pumpkins on paper. It's really just an estimate. I made 6-sided pumpkins, vaguely this shape, but it's really just up to you to experiment with and what kind of size or shape that you'd like yours to be. So I sewed the sides together, just 2 at a time, so I didn't create too much bulk too early on in the top and the bottom edges. Then I sewed those 3 chunks together to make basically a beach ball shape. When you're onto the last side, backstitch, obviously, and leave a little bit open so you can turn it inside out and we can start filling. Now, I didn't really have enough scraps lying around to fill the pumpkins, so I actually had this recycled wool that came as, you know, like instead of packing peanuts once in the mail. So that's a really interesting thing I've never seen before, but good for us in this project. You'll probably need a lot. They look small, but a lot went into these. I used the scraps from cutting out the sides, firstly as the filling, and then used the wool that I had. It also came out as a large rectangle, so I cut the wool into strips so it would fit more easily into the pumpkin. Next we need a stalk. Now you could use cork or a dowel, which I didn't have, so my dad very kindly laid down some nylon cylinders, which I then hot glued some twine around to give it some texture. I also created a little spiral of twine to hot glue onto the top. Now I stuffed that into the pumpkin, glued it down, and then I started wrapping around in twine. I've seen a lot of people do this for similar projects online and on Pinterest, these kinds of things. But I saw that it was a mistake to glue the stalk in already. It was kind of pushing the twine away from the lines that I wanted it to cover the seams. So I stitched those down, and then to cover that up, I thought, well, I'm just going to embroider some leaves. I don't know how to embroider. I was very lucky with this project. I had green embroidery thread, so I backstitched the shape of the leaf onto some green fabric scraps and just filled it in. And then I hot glued those down onto the pumpkin as well. With the twine, you can cover the seams with it, or you can do it in the middle of the segments. I've seen both done, and I did different variations on different pumpkins as well. Next, I made a Minnie Mouse pumpkin. So the last one seemed like it was starting to squish quite a bit, so I decided to go down to 5 segments with this one, and I used the red fabric as well as black, since I think it's good to have some contrasting ones with this patchwork look. I wrapped some additional twine around it into a little bow as a nod to the one that Minnie wears. I went about making the ears, freehanding on paper, folding in half and cutting so it was symmetrical, and I used this as a template on black plastic sheets I had. I left a rectangle at the bottom as the point that will attach it to the pumpkin. Then I folded that, hot glued that either side of the stalk. I made a third one as well out of different patchwork fabrics, and it's actually my favorite because it's so cute and ball shaped. Basically, I made 6 segments again, but I slimmed them down a lot, which basically made it beach ball. But it's a very cute beach ball. There you have it. wanted to use more of that black plastic sheeting to make some garlands. I've seen ones that say Happy Halloween or some movie quotes that I really like, but I decided to go for Hey Boo because that's only 6 letters, which makes my life a lot easier. And it's a ghost pun, obviously. So I went about putting the letters into Adobe Illustrator. You could use anything you like, even Microsoft Word, but an Adobe program or a cheap or free alternative like Figma or Canva works as well, because I'm wanting to move the letters around and arrange them, so I'm wasting less paper and printing it out. So I typed them up. You can use any font you like. I used Cocoa Goose, and I switched from fill to stroke, so I didn't waste all of that ink when printing. This is another reason that a design program will probably help you out a bit. I printed it out and used it as a template, sticky taped it onto the plastic and cut it. I punched a hole at either side of the top so I could string it onto some twine, and then tape that under my shelf unit. And there you have it. Be careful with the phrases you choose, because it's obviously going to be a bit harder to cut out the middle sections of the B or the O. You can ruin some kinds of plastic or even paper by folding them too much. If you're using cardboard, using a Stanley knife would be a pretty easy option for this. And there you have it. Then I used a similar method to make some bat garlands. I just free-handed them. You of course could download a template. If you would like to use the bats I'm using, comment down below and maybe I'll make a template for it. In any case, again, fold it in half so you make sure it's symmetrical, cut out your design and punch some holes in the wings. Ooh, that sounds a bit violent, but you get what I mean. String them up and they're good to go. The great thing about this is you could do it for so many things. You could do skulls, witch hats, ghosts. It's really endless. It doesn't even have to be Halloween themed, especially with Christmas coming up. And you could go any color you like as well. The last thing I did with the plastic was a cat behind the bookshelves. I think this is a really cute little nod and a way to dress up a room in a way that's not so in your face. Again, with this one, I just free-handed it, but of course, feel free to find any sort of cat image online that you'd like to trace. And then I cut that out and stuck him behind some books. Make sure to choose something you're probably not going to read this month, like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, or some books that have an even top so that parts of the cat are not getting obscured. Lastly, I found some anatomical drawings to use in my bedroom behind my bed head. I found these printables at Ella Claire Inspired. I'll leave a link below. And basically you could find a lot of free printables that have these really gorgeous old-fashioned looking drawings on them. Print out and you're ready to go. Of course you could frame them, make them look a bit more antique. With this, I wanted to elevate it without going too far, so I found some overhead sheets. Overhead projectors still exist? I guess they don't because I'm using them for craft now. I just taped them into the corners and double taped that to the wall, blue tack, whatever you think will leave less of a mark when you take it down at the end of the month. I just feel like it gives a bit of a gloss or a sheen. It makes it feel a bit more like glass from a frame rather than me just printing something on some A4 at home. There's a lot of little things like that. Maybe even some of the cardboard or black plastic could be used as a frame around it too. Some really quick and easy things, or longer zone projects, depending on how far you take it, that you can do to give yourself a Halloween inspired room. I hope you enjoyed some of these tips. Let me know if you did any of them, and I'll see you next time.